Hello and welcome to Channel Duello. The new Gwent expansion set, Way of the Witcher, is finally out, and it's time to review each card in the set. But I decided to do this in 7 parts instead of shooting a long video. Why am I doing this? First, that would be kinda boring. Second, the cards in this expansion seem to have strong interactions among themselves, and it looks like they are designed to be played in thematic decks. So I'm going to be reviewing the set faction by faction plus the neutral cards and upload these videos consecutively. So by the time you're watching this, hopefully all the videos will be uploaded. So make sure to check out the rest of the videos in the playlist, which I will provide below. And this introduction part will be the same in every video, obviously, so feel free to skip it and enjoy the rest. Let's start our reviews with Northern Realms faction. Northern Realms is Way of the Griffin, and they represent constitution and precision. And Northern Realms faction has plenty of Witchers, which is the theme of the expansion actually. But I think it is the best set suited for creating a Witcher themed deck. But we'll discuss about deck options and theory crafting a bit later. First, I want to focus on the cards themselves. Let's start with Bronze Witchers. And our first Witcher here is Griffin Witcher. Griffin Witcher is actually a really powerful engine. And he can hit damage an enemy unit by 1 each turn. He has only one cooldown. You don't need to play elves or beasts similar to other cards in the other factions. But there is only one downside. If you have 3 cards left in your hand, at the end of the turn, he'll damage a random enemy unit by 3 and then lock himself. Well, that doesn't look like a great deal of downside actually, because you know you'll hit 3 anyway. I mean, for the last 3 turns, it is random, but it's quite good. So if you play this card as your first card and the round, you'll get a lot of points from him. So he's a primary target to get killed or get blocked. I think it's a really good card. And we have Griffin Witcher Adapt. And this is a student card, and he is in training, obviously. And he is an engine as well. What does he do? Well, he has shield on him, which we'll talk about later. And his order ability is transform an allied Witcher into a base copy of Griffin Witcher Adapt. So if you have a Witcher less than 4 power, and he'll provide a lot of value for you. And there are some cards that you can use with him. I'll talk about a bit later. So I think this is a good card for only 4 provisions, and having a shield doesn't hurt at all. And a 5 provision Bronze Witcher is Griffin Witcher Mentor. And when he comes into play or deploys, you draw the top unit and then shuffle a card from your hand back to your deck. So it is kind of a deck manipulation. Plus, if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, the unit you've drawn will be boosted by 2, so that could be helpful too. But you can, you don't have to wait for Adrenaline 4. You can play it as your second or third play in the rounds. That Adrenaline bonus isn't that crucial. And if you look at it, it is kind of a low tempo card. I mean, you want to, let's say, put more points on the board when you're playing a card like this. But it is still good. You know, you can throw away a, let's say, brick card and then draw a better card. So it is kind of good, but it's a decent card. It's not bad at all. I'm not gonna give ratings yet to these cards. Maybe I'll shoot a different video just rating the cards and not discussing its potentials and so on. And the final Bronze Witcher card is Griffin Witcher Ranger. This Ranger is, let's say, will get a lot of value if the opponent is putting a lot of units on a single row. Why? Because the deployability is boosted by 1 for every unit on the opposite row. So it's not a roll punish actually, but you'll get a lot of points if your opponent is playing the units on the same row. And plus he has an order ability, which you can use a turn later. Transfer all the boosts from self to an allied units. So that could provide helpful as well in certain situations, but the real upside is getting those points from a stacked row. But if the opponent isn't playing a lot of units, this card will be worthless, but I think it's a decent card. So all those 4 Witchers are pretty good in my opinion. They're all playable. Let's move on to the faction location card, Seren. Well, all the location cards have resilience on them, so you can use them in 2 turns. You can use the deploy ability on the turn it comes into play, and you can play the order ability on the same turn or the following turn. So I like that flexibility. I mean, you divide the power of the card into 2 turns. Anyhow, what about the Northern Realms location cards? Well, when you play this card, you're gonna deploy one of the bronze cards of that faction, which I talked about a bit earlier. Griffin Witcher Adept, Witcher Mentor, and Ranger. So they're all good cards. So depending on the situation, you pick one of them and play it. So if you want to build an army of Witcher students, you can play your Witcher Adept. If you need more points and control on the board, you can play Witcher. If you want tech manipulation, you can play the Mentor. And I don't think many people will play the Ranger because that's really a situational card. Anyway, all locations are cool. And by the way, the order ability is boost a unit in your deck by 3. It is kinda weak compared to other locations in my opinion, but it's still a decent card, and if you're playing Witchers and Northern Realms, I think this is a must include card. And each faction has a legendary cards or a Witcher cards for 4 factions, and Northern Realms legendary Witcher is Erland of Larvik, and this card is quite powerful, but in certain situations. I mean, if you draw this guy in the final round, you're not gonna get a lot of value. So this card is particularly really good in the first round, and especially if you're playing on red coin. So what does he do? When he deploys, he boosts all units in your deck by 1. So when you think about it, you're not gonna draw a lot of cards, so you're gonna draw boosted units, so you're gonna get value from them, but you're not gonna play the rest of your hand. So if you look at it, you're not gonna get a lot of points even if you play him on first round, but he's a legitimate threat to win the round. Why? Because his order ability is removing boost from all units in your deck, then boost this unit by the same amount. Well, maybe you're not gonna play all of them, but you can use all the boost from those units to yourself. Like if you have 13-14 units in your deck, you're gonna get a huge amount of boost here. So that 12 provision could easily turn into a 17 point card or something like that. And plus, if you have 3 cards or less in your hand, he gains immunity, and that could be helpful in certain situations as well. But I really recommend him playing in the first round, especially if you're on red coin. I mean, you put him there. If your opponent passes, you can use the order ability and win the round. And if your opponent keeps playing, you pass, and then you'll get a lot of boost points from the deploy ability, and just you don't have to use the order. I like the design, but as I said before, it's not a good card if you draw him in the final round. And each faction has epic cards, and Northern Realms has 2 epic Witchers. Let's take a look at them both, Coin and Keldar. Coin is kinda a weird card. He is similar to Shiru, but in the opposite way. So he has Zeal and Order, boost all other units with power equal to Coin's power by the amount Coin is boosted. So first of all, he needs to be boosted. And there are some cards that will boost units in your deck. As you see, it is kind of the theme for Northern Realms in this expansion set. So there are a lot of opportunities to boost Coin in your hand or in your deck. And suppose, I mean, he got 2 boosts and he comes into play with 5 power, and he's gonna boost all the units with 2 power by 2. It is kind of a complex card actually. It's really, achieve this objective. It's really hard to get that value. That's why, I mean, he needs to be in a deck that is designed for him. And well, I don't think he's a really good card. I mean, if you manage to pull it off, it's really great. But I don't think it's really a good card. So early in the expansion, right now, not many people use coin, but that could change. You know, there are some creative minds playing this game, so who knows. But I mean, I didn't like it. It's really situational. On the other hand, Keldar is pretty good because he can spawn units similar to a frigate, but it's not that easy. Why? Because you need to have 4 or less cards in your hand to start the spawning process. Because Adrenaline 4 at the end of your turn spawn a Witcher student on this row, and Witcher students are 2 powered Witchers. So you can combine them with this Witcher Adapt, and that Adapt will transform those students into 4 powered units. So it requires a lot of setup, and Keldar needs to be protected. As you see, he has 4 power and war armor on him, and is really susceptible to getting hit by 5 powered spells, and there are a lot of it in each faction. So he's really easy to get removed. But you can, let's say, boost him with your location card maybe, and he could come into play like 7 power or 6 power, so that will be more difficult to be removed. Or with your leader ability you can protect him, like Shield War or Uprising, if you want to spend the leader ability, obviously. Or you can put a defender on the row. Anyhow, so he's really a pretty good card, but you need to be careful while you're playing him. And each faction has a legendary beast, and this faction, since they are Way of the Griffin, has a Griffin, legendary Griffin, his or her, I don't know the gender. Archgriffin is the beast. Archgriffin is kind of a weird card. At the end of the round, shuffle this card back to your deck, keeping its boosts. So again, this is a card that you don't want to draw in the final round, obviously, because he will carry over the boosts, and you need to boost him when you play him in the first or second round, and then at the end of the round this will be shuffled back to your deck, and when you pull him, he's gonna have more power. But in the first round, you know, with Temporary Vision, you don't want to play a 5 powered card. So maybe with Ireland, you know, you can combine those 2 cards power and, you know, get a maybe huge combo or something like that. So I mean, I don't think he really fits well into any kind of deck right now. But as I said, someone will find a good deck for this card, in my opinion. But I don't think he is powerful as my first impression. This is not, I mean, he'll be a strong card, but not right now. And each faction has a special card. And Northern Realms special card is a warfare card, as expected. It's called Target Practice. And Target Practice spawns a Witcher student, which is really helpful to get that engine going, you know, playing the Witcher students and transforming them into 4 power units theme. What does this warfare card do? You boost an ally unit by 4. If there is a Witcher on the boosted units row, or that unit is a Witcher, you spawn a Witcher student on that row. So you need to play Witchers if you're playing this card, obviously. And I wish this card wasn't boosting an allied unit, or it could be something like damage an opponent's unit by 4 and then spawn a Witcher student. That could have been better actually, but you know, they prefer to go with the boost, you know, theme, since Northern Realms is kind of boosty faction. Anyhow, this is a must include card if you're playing a Witcher theme deck, so I think it's good. But other than that, there is no way you can use this card. Okay, let's talk about deck building options, possible interactions, and theory crafting. Right now, it looks like Witcher Swarm is possible. Also adding the neutral Witcher cards from other sets or from this set. And as you see, there are some shield interactions. Maybe you can play King Ragnar with the newly introduced cards. And as you see with Archgriffin, Ireland, there is some carryover and deck boosting. So let's take a look at each of them. Well, Witcher Student Swarm could be an option, and we're already seeing some examples of it on the ladder. Well, the combo is pretty obvious. With Witcher Adapt, you can transform these 2-powered students into 4-power adepts, and those adepts could keep on transforming everyone into those 4-powered units. And obviously Keldar will help the situation to get that train going. And then this target practice card will spawn even more Witchers. So I think that's a lot of point potential, unless they are being interrupted by control decks. And it is really easy to do that. But you can maybe keep adding more units, like, you know, reinforcements can add more adepts maybe. And if you manage to you know, play a lot of the same units, you can play Wesemere and get a huge boost out of them. And there's also this card. It is not a Northern Realms card, but it's going to be really helpful for Witcher themed decks in other factions as well. It's it doesn't have to be actually a Witcher, but drawing adrenaline cards, I mean tutoring adrenaline cards, is really important because they are really good cards. And they even added adrenaline keyword to previous cards like Wesemere Mentor. And yeah, I think that's him. That's only him. And you can, you know, draw Geralt Gwent. So there are some options. Anyway, what does Selective Mutation do? Draw a card with adrenaline of your choice. So it's not bronze restricted. You can draw an adrenaline gold card, which you will do probably. Then shuffle back a card from your hand to your deck. So it already, you know, improves your hand quality. So you throw a useless bronze card maybe, and then spawn a Witcher student on each allied row. So if you look at it, it's only a 4-powered card. You're putting two of Witcher students, so not a lot of points. It's a low tempo card, but you're improving your hand for the future, for the next round, or maybe for the following turns, and maybe draw the missing piece of your combo. I think this card is really great. It's not Northern Realms, but I wanted to include here and discuss about it. And I think some other factions could use it too, like Skellige, because it's an alchemy card. But I'll talk about it in the Skellige review. And Witcher Tribal decks is an option, and actually you can combine it with Witcher Student Swarm. Witcher Students and Tribal all in the same deck. Well, Wesemere Mentor is really great right now. I mean, he was a less than mediocre card before this expansion came out, but now you know, he can boost all the Witchers on the playboard, in your hand, in your deck, if you fulfill the adrenaline requirement, which isn't really difficult to do, and you can tutor him out with that Selective Mutation card, because right now he has adrenaline on him. So that's great. And you have a Gwent card, and he can draw a Witcher from your deck, and maybe you can draw Wesemere or maybe Erland. So there are a lot of options for him to draw, or maybe Leo. Leo is an option if you can. I mean, you're gonna fill the board with a lot of Witchers, so he will get a lot of value. And Berengar will not be destroyed that easily, you know, if you can line up all those Witcher students. You know, it's really difficult to remove all of them. So Berengar is really a solid option here. As you see, there are a lot of neutral Witcher support for this deck. I also want to talk about the shield synergy, obviously. I mean, if you pull out the combo and put a lot of adepts with shield on them, and you can play King Rognar and get a lot of points as a finisher. And you need to play cards that put shield on units, like Artificer maybe, to increase the number of shielded units. And then with Geralt Gwent comes into play. Shield, again, if you fulfill the adrenaline requirement, the Witcher he'll draw will come into play shielded as well, so there will be a lot of shielded units. So King Rognar can get a lot of value, but that deck won't be a strict shield deck, otherwise you would lose. Your only victory condition will be King Rognar. So King Rognar could be your alternate round win condition. I mean, you can even maybe use him to win round 1 maybe. So I think King Rognar's value increased with the release of this expansion. And I said carryover and deck boost. This territory is kind of uncharted, and we have Archgriffin and Erland that both are really powerful cards. Well, with Erland, you know, you can add him into several decks, but Archgriffin is kind of an unknown, as I discussed earlier. So only time will tell what will happen with these cards, and there's some good combo underneath, but right now I don't think you can build a competitive deck based around this combo. But I mean, I could be right, and someone will come up with a really good combo, or maybe a tier 1 deck. We'll see. And don't forget about Griffin Witcher Mentor, so that also helps with the deck boost synergy. And maybe you want to include Olgad in your deck. He will also boost cards in your deck, but I'm not sure if you want to include all these low tempo cards in your deck. That could really sabotage your winning. I mean, you can lose uneven maybe if you put a lot of cards like this. But you know, since this guy is also a deck boost card, hand boost cards, I wanted to include him as well. And also Gwent could maybe benefit from all this synergy and mumbo jumbo. Again, we'll see. And finally, what about these cards? I mean, did they improve existing decks before this expansion came out? So let's take a look at the existing decks. And we had Shield Wall Triple Duel, which has been a tier 1 deck in my opinion for a long time after the release of Wesemere. That's a really solid deck. Are there any cards that you could include in a Shield Wall Triple Duel deck? I don't think so. Maybe Erland, but he isn't a soldier, he's a witcher. That's not that important, but again, I mean, who are you gonna take out to include Erland? You need to build your deck, I mean, around some witchers before using that Shield Wall Triple Classic deck. So I think Shield Wall Triple Duel is still a good deck, but I don't think any Way of the Witcher cards will be in the deck. So we'll see. Everyone is trying the new cards, obviously, because it's fun. And we'll see at the end of the season if Shield Wall Triple Duel will be viable or not. And Mobilization Revenant was your second choice if you were planning to play Northern Realms. That Revenant deck is a control deck and kills the opponent's units, also tries to put those Revenants as engines. That was a really good deck, especially against Shield Wall Triple Duel and against some other decks. And are there any cards that we can include it in this deck? I don't think so, because I mean there aren't any damage cards, control cards in Northern Realms Way of the Witcher expansion. I mean, you can't obviously include that target practice card, and I don't think it makes sense to include any of the Witcher cards in that deck, so that will stay the same. And we had Uprising Swarm decks. They were not tier 1 or tier 2, but they were fun to play, kind of nostalgic, because I mean we don't have Visigrid anymore. I mean, we have him, but he's not as powerful as before, obviously. But I think Uprising could be powerful if you want to plan using Witchers. And I think Uprising is the best ability to use a Witcher tribal deck, because they will be boosted by Wesemere, and there are multiple ways to boost your units. So the Uprising Leader ability could be a huge finisher. You can get a really powerful last unit on your board, because there will be a lot of boosted units. So I think that deck will improve, but there will be a lot of different cards, so that won't look similar to what people were using before the expansion at all. And that concludes my video. I hope you liked my discussions about theory crafting and my assessment about the new cards. And don't forget to check our team website, teamduella.com, and my Twitch channel, and feel free to join Discord channel, but the language is in Turkish there, so I gotta warn before that. And if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, and don't forget to watch the rest of the videos that are analyzing factions, and I will be uploading them very soon. Bye bye.